Yeah, so this is just going to be the settings guide for Val. Just watch through. I'm going to go through pretty quick. I'm going to explain every setting, why you should have them on or off, or why I have them on or off. So you can help choose what is the best for you in terms of what you need or what you want or what you're struggling with in with your gameplay. So first we're going to start off with text language, whatever language you can read. Enemy highlight color. A lot of people have it set to purple or yellow. I personally like red because I can see red the best. But it's kind of just something you got to play around with, find your preferences. Oh yeah, that's the one. So next we go to mouse sensitivity and aim. So how I find my sensitivity, I went on to AimLab. It's free on Steam. Pretty small download. And they have this new feature where you can it will help you find your sensitivity and it will change it for you and then spit out a number. I did that. I used that number and it's a really good number for me. I really like it. Scope Sense and ADS Sense, I haven't really messed around with them properly yet. I found that with the ADS sensitivity, I would turn it down a bit. I'm still playing with that at the moment, but normally when you ADS, you use it for one taps with a Vandal at range, or you use it for range accuracy. So turn it down so you can get the tracking a lot easier, and you don't need to flick as much. Scope sensitivity, I would have that typically higher than your ADS sensitivity, since you're going to be making a lot more flicks than you would with your ADS. Invert mouse, the only reason anyone would use it is if they came from a flight sim. Raw input buffer, have this on. So what raw input buffer is it basically means that it updates your mouse movements every certain few milliseconds compared to your refresh rate. So basically it makes your mouse a lot more smooth, a lot more precise. I would definitely recommend switching that one on. Now, for my map settings, I would copy mine, simply just because it allows you to see the whole map. The map is very, very important. Keep it on fixed so it doesn't spin around, so you don't get disorientated. Keep it based on the side, so it is consistent. Keep player centered, keep that to off, so it will show you the whole map. And then that's the size and zoom that I use. Minimap vision cones, keep that on so you can tell whether your teammates, like what your teammates can see. I find it to be very helpful when maybe I'm holding an angle with my teammate and I can see what they can see, and kind of change how I stand. Show map region names. Some people like it only in biphase. I like it in always, just so if it's a new map like Lotus, or if maybe you forget a call out, you can see it and read it out. Privacy, I personally have all of these set to off. That's all personal preference. First person handedness. So basically what it means is, do you want your gun on the right or the left side? And the way you should determine this is, I'll put a link to a test a bit further down in the thread, but you should find your dominant eye and put the gun on the opposite side. So what that basically does is makes it so that the side has the less clutter. That's your dominant eye. Me personally, I have no dominant eye, which is very, very rare. I went to the optometrist to check to see if it would be an issue. It's not. Most people do have their, I believe it's right eye. About 60% of people have right eye, 30% left eye, and the rest, like me, the 1 to 10%, is both. Always show inventory. I like having that on just so I can see what my teammates have or what I have. What I have. Player loadout's always visible. You can turn that on and off. I think it gets in the way sometimes. We'll get to these cycles later. I personally don't use them at all, so I just keep it off. I would recommend trying to get into a habit of not having it. Instability indicators, have them on. And network buffering, you should have it set to minimum if you have an acceptable network. However, if you live in remote areas and you don't have very good internet, you can play around to see whether moderate or maximum does enhance your connection. Show bullet traces, keep this on, because guns that don't have suppressors like Vandals, Odins, so on and so forth, people spray through smokes or through walls at you, you can tell where they're coming from. Trust me, it's got me a lot of kills. Spectator count, you can have it on or off. I haven't really touched it. Some people like having it off because it makes them less nervous during a clutch or something, but yeah. Use team color for crosshair color. I wouldn't do this simply just because you pick your crosshair color for a reason. And hide user interface in game, keep this off because it's very important. First person arms, observer only. That's all just observer stuff. Blinds, all this kind of stuff, that's all just observer stuff. I wouldn't really mess with that. I didn't really mess with it myself. So under controls, now I don't know, most of these I don't really know. But we're going to go with my main controls here. So ability 1, really just whatever is comfortable, same with ability 2. Yeah, so ability 3 is what does matter. So basically what I would have, especially if you play duelists like Jet or Reyna or something like that, I highly recommend, I can't stress this enough, put your ability 3 to a mouse button or something that you don't have to take your movement keys off, like you'd use your pinky or your thumb for. But mouse button's definitely easier, just makes it so that you can dash without having to go off a movement key. Same with dismissing. You know, I found it useful for Sage, Sky. I find it useful for almost everyone, especially because I got used to it. But yeah, those are my controls that I use mainly. Scrolling down here, we have mouse wheel down to jump. This is typically what people use for CSGO, but I double bound mine because I find it useful in some situations, but in others I find spacebar very useful. I would recommend trying it out. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But yeah, I really like it. You know, these last 3 are just for your ghost mode. I wouldn't really worry about them for now. Now, snipes. Aim down sights and sniper rifle aim, I would just leave on hold. Unless, of course, you feel more comfortable toggling. Some people like having toggle on the sniper rifle aim, but I don't really like it. Reload R, got nothing changed here. So I've unbound my scroll wheel to bind my weapons because I find that it makes it a lot more difficult if you want to go from, say, your primary weapon to your knife or primary weapon to spike, and it's good muscle memory to have because it's almost instant and you won't fumble around with your guns and stuff. What else? Auto equip prioritize. Always have it on strongest, please, and don't auto equip melee. Now, the pure reason for this is, you know, if you go for a neon dash and you stop dashing, you'll pull out whatever you had out last. But if you have it the strongest, it will always pull out your strongest weapon, say for a Vandal or something like that. So with raise nades, satchels, stuff like that, so on and so forth. Yeah, my bad, sorry, my dad came in. I haven't messed with any of these, it's all just personal preference, what you're comfortable with. Communication, oh, that's all messed up. Okay. I have mine on Q&E just because I don't use them keys and they're very easily to press, so I can calm easy. I recommend binding these. I haven't gotten around to doing it yet. It's not completely necessary. Ping. Have this on middle mouse button, just so you don't have to take your finger off, you know, to press Z or anything on the keyboard. Keep your hands comfortable while you ping. Very, very simple. Interface. I don't really mess with any of these. Kind of kept it all the same. Except for obviously toggle free cam, but don't need to worry about that. Moving on to crosshair. It's very, very personal preference. I can go through a few of my favorite ones. So this one's 1422 without movement error and outer lines off and outlines off. Color is also personal preference. Sinatra's crosshair is also a good one. A very, very popular one at the moment is the plus. So this one is just 1420 and everything else will be off. So the inner lines will be 1420, everything else will be off. Most people have it set to white. I am rocking this one at the moment, but I change around all the time. So going on to video settings, full screen is 110% the option that you should have. Mainly just because it really just prevents a lot of input lag, gives you the best experience. Next we got resolution. Set this to your native. Yours might be 1920 by 1080. And you know, your hertz for your monitor. I'll show you how to find those in the next video. If you don't know how. Monitor, set it to your main monitor. These ones don't really change much. Change that there. See, it doesn't really change much. all your limit FPS, set them to off except for this one, limit FPS always. So set that to on, and then change your max FPS always to your native refresh rate. Going to graphics quality, multi-threaded rendering should be on unless you have an extremely old computer. Now this is just because it allows your CPU to be fully utilized by the game and you'll get way more frames. Going on to your qualities, have these off. Not only does it give you more frames, but it will also give you a competitive advantage. I know the most common example that people use for these qualities is Viper's Smoke. So normally Viper's Smoke will be just a straight line, but with these set to high, there'll be like a cloud of smoke around the bottom of it and you won't be able to see as easy. So going to anti-aliasing, I found that for my computer, MSAA 4 times looks good and is also quite quick. I would even suggest sometimes setting it to none. So basically anti-aliasing, all it is it makes the corners in your game smoother. It looks really nice to have some on. MSAA 4 times is what most people run. I strongly believe it is the fastest. Aniscopic filtering, I'm not too sure what this one does, but from my tests and from what other people run, I found that 8 times it looks better. I think it just makes the colors look a bit better. I'm not 100%. 8 times is what I use. I've always used it. But if you have performance issues with that, I would go to 4 times. Some people even run 2 times if you want to be very optimal, but 8 times or 4 times is what most people use. 4 times is actually, I would recommend 4 times. I have a decently high-end computer, so I can run 8 times with ease. Improved clarity, I would set, and sharpening. Just mess around with it. Whatever makes your game look best and makes it easier for you to see the enemies. Now, I had both of these off for a long time, didn't really change much. I put this one on for now just to see whether it helps me out. So far, so good. However, bloom, distortion, and cast shadows, turn this off always. This will just add more distraction to the game, and it's not worth it, you know. Stats, obviously put your FPS on. I would recommend putting network, RTT, and processing delays on. So basically what it shows you is your input delay plus your ping. So that'll help you determine, I mean, you can turn network RTT on as well. And it will help you determine whether it's a connection issue or a hardware issue if you do have lag spikes or stuttering in any way. I've ruled all mine out, so I'm happy with that, so I turn mine off. I generally have pretty good internet, so I'll only really turn it on if I need to. But down the bottom here, gameplay stats. I want you to have shooting error, I want you to have it on graph only. So what this does, it will show you that when you die, whether you were moving when you were shooting your shots, or not when you die, but after, you know, when you shoot, it will show you whether your shots were while you were moving or while you were standing still. So if you have this graph on, the bars will be blue if you were moving and yellow if you were standing still. So a lot of the time this will help players determine whether it was their aim or whether the way they peaked or their movement and so on and so forth. There you are, movement blue, firing orange. So that goes to audio. This is quite an important one. So I would have overall volume all the way up, sound effects all the way up. So sound effects will be, you know, your molly sounds, your flash sounds, your footsteps, stuff like that. The voiceover volume, that's like last player standing and stuff like that. I would have that on, but not as loud as the rest of them. It is important to hear, but it is more important to hear your sound effects. Next up we have VoIP. I really don't know, like it's not really that good. It's just when people are talking in game it lowers your sound. Mute music, that's just kind of if you alt tab out of the game, you won't play any sound, which I do like. Speaker configuration, please have it on stereo. Always have it on stereo. It means that both your headphones will play different sounds depending on whether it needs to. Enable HRTF, turn that on always, please. So that basically means you can hear whether a footstep's behind you, in front of you, above, below, stuff like that. It just enables 3D hearing. Voice chat, it's all just personal preference, and voiceover, it's all just personal preference. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. If you have any questions, just leave some in the thread and I can try and answer them. but I'll get to Windows optimizations. In terms of driver optimizations like AMD and NVIDIA, I can only really show AMD. That might come out at a later date, like tomorrow or the day after. But as for now, I'll show you this, and I'll show you how to find your display specs. Alright, I'll see you guys later.